Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Friday. We have made it to Friday. It's time for All-Jo Madden over here on Picks and Parlays. We've got a great show today. Fantastic lineup of handicappers coming on. We got Anton from AI Advanced Sports. We also have Dan Kaiser. We have Steve coming on. We got so much to talk about. It is a game one of the World Series, and hands up if you didn't think your team would be here. I didn't expect the Toronto Blue Jays to be sitting in the position they're in. So impressed with what we saw out of them, but so impressed with what we saw out of the Dodgers. So game one kicking off tonight. We're going to be breaking down this series with Steve. Dan coming in with those series bets yesterday. He'll be back today to talk game one. He's also going to talk Michigan State. If you missed that teaser yesterday, he's got a rant to go on about. So stay tuned for that. Of course, Anton dropping in here with what you want to look at for Sunday. We've also got some plays out here from the guys looking forward into the weekend as well. So you guys, it's going to be a loaded show. Make sure you do open your odds logic page, shop those odds while we're going over everything. You want to always get the best of the lines. And then do me a solid, hit that like button over here on YouTube. If you're watching on X, come on over to YouTube so you can interact in the live chat. We want to get your questions for the handicappers here on Picks and Parlays. We want to hear what you're liking as well. And remember, bragging rights are always on the line. You guys come out with a stellar parlay and it hits, you know we're talking about it Monday morning. So make sure you drop what you're liking there. And I want to remind you guys, there's so much going on over on picksandparlays.net. You don't want to miss out on any of it. You can get the picks from your handicapper of choice for the rest of 2025 for just $8.30 a day. I said it before, you guys, my Starbucks costs more than that. Maybe your morning coffee, you get the Tim Hortons version over the Starbucks, but then that's just 2 Tim Hortons, or maybe that's a coffee and a donut. Not sure. I haven't bought a Tim Hortons in a while. I'm sure it's going up in price. I know you can't get 12 eggs for $8.30, but you can get these handicappers best plays for just that price. And don't forget also about that Weekend Warrior. If you're not looking for picks in basketball, hockey, everything else that's going on other than football, you can just look at that Weekend Warrior package, which will get you the football plays from your Picks and Parlays handicapper choice for Saturday and Sunday this weekend for just $49. As an added bonus, they will add in those Monday plays as well. And we know we got a big game on Monday. Washington, the Commanders without Jaden Daniels versus Patrick Mahomes. Are you willing to lay those kind of points with the Chiefs as a favorite? We're going to break that game down. If not today, we'll be breaking it down on Monday. So make sure you do join us Monday. We're live Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, if you want to see the show 5 days a week, you guys have to help out. Hit that like, share it with a friend, get the world knowing that we're running this show. I was going to say the world out, but I like the world to know that this show is up and running. But we got so much to go over. We're going to bring on Anton in just a second. I firstly have to say my Chargers pulled off the freaking win last night. If you're riding with the Minnesota Vikings plus the points, it definitely hurt. The Chargers coming out with a big win. Carson Wentz actually went out with injury of that game. The Chargers winning 37-10. Now, they didn't win the way I expected. I expected the Chargers to come out with Herbert just slinging that ball. We actually saw Herbert really mobile on the ground. Well, he wasn't able to get that rushing touchdown. Actually got in once. They called it back because his offensive line flinched, and it was the smallest of flinches out there. He was able to get that tutty for us at plus 550, but then it was yanked. I started to celebrate, then saw the flag. It was a bad beat definitely for me with his O-line flinching, but what can you do? We still were able to get the Chargers laying the 3.5, if that's where you got the number. It did move from 3.5 to 3. So great game out there. We're going to get into everything else in week 8. We're going to look at the World Series. First, we're going to bring in Anton, start looking at these week 8 games for Sunday. So let's have Anton join the show. Anton, good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning, Joe.
How are you
doing
today?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Thank you. It's a beautiful Friday here. We're week 8. We had a big night last night. How did the model do in last night's game, and how did the model do to finish up week 7 since we last talked?
This is an interesting week because of the buys and also because of a lot of quarterback uncertainties. Before we get to that, I just want to look back for a second on week 7. You and I had a good conversation last Friday. We talked about the Colts and your Chargers. And we had a double hit on that one because our model correctly picked Indianapolis to cover and also the over, I believe. Yeah. So that was good. And we also talked about San Francisco, Atlanta, and getting the under. So we were 3-0. So if anyone was paying attention and followed, they had a really good weekend. So we're hoping for a repeat. As I said, fewer games, even more uncertainty with quarterback changes and so forth. Last night, the model did have Minnesota, and I think that, it's a challenge keeping up with these backup quarterback situations. I think they're called backups for a reason. They just it's a predicament when the backup quarterbacks are in the game, and there just seems to be more dysfunction, frankly, as we could see last night. I mean, Minnesota just wasn't working. But despite that, we're moving forward. We have a couple of games that we have our eyes on. No final decisions yet. We're going to run the model again this afternoon and tomorrow morning. But we are looking at the Browns Patriots game on Sunday. New England was -6.5. Now it looks like the prevailing line is -7. We still think that's good to get in on. New England seems to be cohesive at this point. The Browns are struggling, so it's a little bit surprising that the line isn't even a little bit more in favor of New England. But we'll take it. So if you can get, New England -7 is a pretty good buy out there. And the other game that we're looking at is San Francisco-Houston. The model is predicting that to be more of a defensive battle. Houston just really doesn't have a lot of firepower. So we're looking at the under 41.5 on that one, which is, that line's pretty low, and to take the under takes a little bit of courage, but we're with it. So those are the two main ones we're looking at, trying to sort of weave and bob and avoid teams that are just trying to keep it together between the quarterbacks and other key player injuries.
Yeah, I like how you're going with that Houston pick with the model, because we know Houston's defense has to be the calling card of that team versus the 49ers in this matchup. They have to come out nice and strong, and they've been able to do so. So great looks there. Now, what have you got up for sale over on, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of backfeed here. What have you got up for sale over on picksandparlays.net?
Well, we haven't put up our sales yet, but we expect to have something, that, if not this afternoon, by tomorrow. So please check us out, Advanced Sports AI. We have been building our model. This is 8 years in the making. We have a tremendous group of data scientists, software engineers, computer scientists, all working together. This is not ChatGPT. This is really a medley of state-of-the-art AI, all working in synchrony to put together what I felt my vision 8 years ago is that we can use the technology that was emerging at the time for predicting NFL outcomes. And we've been doing great. We're at about 68% accuracy at this point, and we are moving forward. So come and take a look at us, and join the gang.
Absolutely. You guys head on over to picksandparlays.net to find Advanced Sports AI with Anton. You won't regret it. Anton, all the best in all of your bets this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Joe. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. You guys, that was Anton from Advanced AI. I'm just changing things up. Head on over to picksandparlays.net. He will be part of that Weekend Warrior package, as well as you can get the rest of his picks for this 2025 season. It's hard to believe it's already October 24th. You guys, where is the year going? Before we know it, it's going to be Halloween. Then it's going to be American Thanksgiving. Then it's going to be Christmas. And then we're going to be celebrating New Year's, and we're going to be rolling into college football playoffs. It's insane how quickly things are going. And then it's Super Bowl. Like, what the heck has happened to time? It is absolutely flying. You guys, we will have Dan Kaiser in just a second here. We've got Steve jumping in as well. Now, we did run a poll this morning, X versus the books, and I want you guys to head on over to X, go over to Joe Madden Sports on X to get your votes in on tonight's game one of the World Series. Now, so far, the books versus X. X is sitting at 45.7% of you with the love for the Dodgers to get the win. Now, I saw the comments below. Lots of people not wanting to lay that kind of juice. I completely understand. I wouldn't lay minus 154 on a team. Some of you may be throwing it into a parlay. Some people looking at that run line, so thinking the Dodgers are going to win big. This is going to be a great game one. The Jays are a plus 130 dog. If you think they have the ability to pull off the win, the Dodgers may be a little bit rusty out here. They've had some time off, and we got that total sitting at 7.5. Not much love at all for the under 7.5 at only 5%, almost 6%, and 28.6% of that love coming there for the over. So that's where we're sitting. Go on over, get on X, and cast your votes. We're going to look at this a couple of times today and see where the money is coming in, at least from X. This is not a broad range of the public. I think we've got about 500 votes on this so far. So you guys continue to go on over to Joe Madden Sports on X and get those votes in. But we're going to bring Dan Kaiser in. We're going to hear what he's liking. He's got bets for you in the World Series in game one. Remember, he did tell us his series bets yesterday. I'll ask him to revisit those for any of you that did miss it. And I can't wait to hear this rant. We're going to start on the rant for Michigan and Michigan State because he teased it yesterday. And I really hope he's ranting against Michigan. I'm a Buckeyes fan, you guys. I want to hear all these rants against Michigan. That is for sure. So let's bring Dan Kaiser into the show. Dan, it's Friday. We made it.
Yes, and I'm doing better than Chauncey Billups this morning, so I got that going for me.
That is very true. We're seeing the love coming in for the Blue Jays. I just have to throw that out. I've got the love for the Blue Jays today. But let's first, I got to hear your rant before we get into the World Series. Michigan, Michigan State. This is going to be quite the game. Michigan State is a, 14.5-point underdog in this one?
Yeah.
Where are you going to go, Dan?
Well, I'm gonna have to disappoint you here a little bit, Joe. Well, here's the thing. Everybody knows, if anybody's seen me over the years, they know I have this utter distaste, utter hatred of Michigan. But I'll be honest, I'm broken. Jonathan Smith has broken me. So just for those Michigan fans out there, I'm going to take no gratuitous cheap shots today. No capital SC, small scum. No Walmart Wolverine fans shots this one. No, to be honest, I'm going to pull something from the rock and say, Michigan, Sharon Moore, what I want you to do for me, please, is take that Paul Bunyan trophy, shine it up real nice, turn it sideways, and shove it up Jonathan Smith's candy ass. This guy has done my head in. Me and Reich talked the other day. We did a show. We talked about how State gets the backdoor cover, and Jonathan Smith did it to me again. Now listen, if the Spartans scored a touchdown on their last drive, that'd be one thing. Yay, good. You're at least trying. But to kick a field goal with 32 seconds left to cover the spread, I mean, that's one step too far for me. I think he was probably thinking he made the donors or alumni happy because they probably bet against. But I bet all of them, including me, bet against his ass. He's done. I hope he's gone at the end of the year. I hope they fire him after this game. That's why I hope Michigan just comes out and treats us like the redheaded stepchild that we are. But in saying that, looking at this game, now I got that off my chest. I can look at this game. Well, Michigan State's lost four conference games in a row by combined 75 points. Coach Moore before this game says records don't matter in this game, and I would say in years past I would agree with them, but I think with the NIL and the transfer portal, these rivalry games have lost that flavor, that luster. I mean, some guys aren't around long enough to get a hatred for the other team. Look at this Wolverines team. They're 5-2, 3-1 in the Big Ten. They're coming off a road. They lost 2 weeks ago to Southern Cal. And then they bounced back with a win over Washington. I think going into this game, Michigan is the better team. They should win this game. They need to win outright for a chance at the playoffs. Michigan State is terrible on defense. And to be honest, it looks like half the time they're not even trying to make a tackle. I think they just lost any feeling for this game. So, and then saying all that, Michigan State always has a way to seem to play Michigan close when you least expect it. They lost last year 24-17. It's 14.5 points. I can see Michigan winning big, but I'm gonna have to take Michigan State. My only hope is they don't win this game outright, because then people say, well, let's keep Smith around for another game. No, I hope they lose. I'll take Michigan State plus the 14.5, but in my heart, that's the first time I'm going to say this. In my heart, I hope Michigan wins by 30. That's just my heart.
So your heart's on the big win for Michigan, but your money's going to be on Michigan State plus the points. I love when you can split heart and money. You're not going to be disappointed either way.
Yeah, because Michigan State's done it to me. They did it to me against USC. They did it to me last week against Indiana. They kick field goals at end of games to cover the spread. And I want Jonathan Smith gone, so I can live with 1 year of getting blown out by Michigan as long as I get a new coach.
Well, you guys, you heard it here. Dan guys are rolling with Michigan State plus the 14.5, but really hoping Michigan blows them out of the water so the coaches are fired. Okay, Dan, let's jump into game one here of the World Series. This is going to be an epic World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers were kicking off game one. You had your World Series bets yesterday. Can you remind everyone what you're liking overall in the World Series before we get into game one today?
Yeah, yesterday we broke down the series. I think all the advantages, especially pitching, goes to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers will win this in 4 or 5 games. And I said yesterday, I think Toronto's best chance is to win game one. And then looking at this game, yesterday I just looked at the series as a whole. Today, last night, this morning, I was looking at the game in itself. And then I looked at my dog and I said, why is Toronto starting a guy that's pitched more in the postseason than the regular season? And and he looked at me like he always does and goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm looking at this game. I mean, the Dodgers are just on a roll. They're 9-1 in the postseason. Blake Snell gets the start. He didn't have a great regular season. He was 5-4, but he had a 2.35 ERA. But he only had like 14 regular season starts. The postseason, he's just been amazing. He's 3-0, 0.86 ERA, a .524 WHIP, and he's pitched well against Toronto in his career. Posted a 2.39 ERA in 17 starts. Again, I said I don't know why they're going with Trey Yesavage. He made 3 regular season starts, posted a 3.2 on ERA, 14 innings. He didn't get a lot of work, but this is his 4th postseason start today, game 1 of a World Series, 3.21 ERA in the postseason. Then I started thinking, why do you put Yesavage in there? And I think it goes a little bit maybe to what we talked about the other day, rust versus rest. I think this could be a good spot for him because if the Dodgers bats could be a little slow, at least the first 2 at bats. So I think he may have a chance in this one. But again, it's the bright lights of game 1 of the World Series. And, we saw what happened years ago to a rookie and Rick Ankiel for the Cardinals, and he never pitched again. He did play later in the league, but he could never pitch again. Again, I know people say, minus 154. To me, it only matters if you lose. And even though the Dodgers don't have a lot of rest in this one, or have the rest in this one, I'm going to stick with the Dodgers in this one. I think they have the better pitching. I can't see Snell getting a bad outing the way he's been pitching. So I'd lean to the Dodgers this soon, but my play will be on the under. Looks like at your poll, I'm like the only person in the land that's on the under in this one.
It's a
But
good
again,
place to be.
I think it comes to a couple of things. Again, I think you just look at this Dodgers pitching staff, Snell, as I said, but I think they've only given up like 5 runs in the last 5 games or something. They 8 straight games of 10 strikeouts, or 8 straight games of 8 strikeouts, something like that. They've just been too strong. And my only worry about the under is Savage. I mean, he could come out, be great. He could come out and get bombed in the first inning, and then you got to go to the Toronto bench or the Toronto bullpen, which is bad. And I need 7 or 8 innings out of Snell because I don't want to see the Dodgers bullpen out there anyway. But I think the Dodgers bats could be cold the first couple of times around. So I'm looking for a low scoring game, and I'll be against everybody. I'll take the under.
We know you want to be on the side of the books, not with the public here in a lot of these cases. So your best bet coming in on the under 7.5. And I can totally see it going that way, especially with these starting pitchers. You mentioned it. Blake Snell has just been absolutely phenomenal. So he's got to worry about George Springer and Vladdy Guerrero. And then we know Savage really has to worry about Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, those lefties coming out there. So it's going to be a great game 1 here, Dan. I like where you're going with that under. What do you have for sale up this weekend? I know you're going to be part of the Weekend Warrior. What can people come over to picksandparlays.net and expect when they buy your packages?
Yeah, I'll have a couple of hockey games posted shortly for tonight. And yeah, I'm finishing up the card for Saturday and Sunday, and those will be posted probably later tonight. At least the college will be posted later tonight. One other point on this Michigan State game. They moved it to night, so it's going to be a night game. And now they're selling beer at the stadium. So the good thing for Spartans fans is they can just get drunk enough and forget it when they wake up in the morning.
Do they normally not sell beer in the stadiums? I know there's a couple colleges that don't, right? Like BYU.
Well, until I think it was 4 years ago, it wasn't allowed. It wasn't allowed. Okay. And then the NCAA changed it. Yeah. And then Michigan said they weren't going to do it, and State said they weren't going to do it. And then I think it was the last year or two, State finally decided, and I think Michigan decided, hey, I got 110,000 people in here. Probably half of them want to drink. So look at the revenue. So, but before you couldn't. That's why I used to always hate going to college games. Even like this is back in the 90s or whatever, NCAA tournament final, the regional finals was in Detroit, and you'd go and you couldn't drink. Even at a pro stadium, you couldn't drink because it was a college basketball. So
I had no idea the things that you don't know when you're Canadian. It would be I'm sure you're impressed to sell out stadiums here with no alcohol in the stands. That's just my take on things.
Yeah. I don't know, but I can understand. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I understand it. I just I'm shocked at the attendance rate when no alcohol is served. I think that's the only reason people go to CFL games up here. Just joking. Sorry, CFL fans, but it is about the tailgating. It is about the party. CFL is big up here. We know that. Some rule changes happening in the CFL. Cody rolling with Calgary laying 4.5 up to 6 versus the Edmonton Elks. Cody, best of luck. I hope you're right there. I do think Calgary has every ability of pulling that off. But Dan, I want to thank you so much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure to have you both yesterday and today. Hopefully next week, let me know whenever you're free. You're welcome to always jump on the show. Good luck tonight.
This one last shout out to the Spartan Nation. Things are not all that bad. Hockey, #1 in the country. Beat BYU twice last weekend. Basketball right around the corner. And if you saw Tom Izzo's press conference little thing yesterday talking about G League players coming back to college, he's feisty, and the season hasn't even started yet. So we got that look going for us.
You definitely do. I hope that you have a great game here tonight. Cover that spread. I know you want the coaches fired, but I want to see Michigan lose. I'd love to see Michigan lose outright. So, Dan, if you guys can do me that favor tonight, that would be great. But all the best in all of your bets. Again, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, that was Dan Kaiser. Make sure you do head on over to picksandparlays.net if you're looking for his best bets. You don't want to miss out on that. Gotta love how he was talking about the dogs and his dog was just sitting there right next to him. I heard a train when that stuff was going on. Maybe it's time to jump on the Canadian Toronto train. I kind of took a sign of that. But you guys, we're going to have a Steve in just a second. I'm going to have one more look at that poll, see where you guys are sitting. I want to see if there's more people liking that under. It's going to be interesting to see if both of these starting pitchers can quiet the bats out there. Steve has bets for us, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say in this game. Looking at that poll, still no love for the under 7.5. It's actually dropped. It's now closer to that 4% of people liking the under. If you want to be on the side of the books versus X, it would be the under. We're also seeing a little bit more love coming in for the Toronto Blue Jays. 23.3% of the love there, 44% for the Dodgers to get the win, and the over 7.5 coming in at 27.1%. Great starting pitching matchup. Savage coming out, the 22-year-old young kid here for the Toronto Blue Jays. A lot of faith in him. I like that they set him up in game 1 because that will allow him to come back in game 5. Fingers crossed that the Jays can make it all the way to 5 because we know the Dodgers are so hot with Ohtani out there. If the Dodgers can hang, or if the Jays can hang in this, get to game 5, we will see Savage start there in LA. It's going to be a crazy World Series. Let us know in the chat who you're rooting for and who you're betting on. Maybe you're rooting for the Dodgers, but betting on Toronto or vice versa. We want to know where your money is going to go. And I appreciate you guys all for watching. If you're watching over on X, come on over to the live chat here on YouTube. Want to interact with you guys? I see a ton of you watching on X, either on my X or Picks and Parlays or Winners and Winers. So wherever you're coming from, come on over to Picks and Parlays on YouTube. Steve's jumping in the next second here. We're going to be talking with him at NFL. We're going to be looking at MLB. We got so much to go over. So make sure you do. And NBA props. We got NBA player props. Don't forget about that, you guys. The NBA back with scandals. Man, I don't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So let's bring Steve in, see what he's liking out there today. Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm so excited. This is the first time you and I have got to work together. I've seen all of your stuff. You've been crushing it out there against the book. So I can't wait for you to bring your picks to the All-Jo Madden audience here on Picks and Parlays.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've been a big fan of yours for a while now as well.
Oh, well, thank you. You flatter me. We got so much to jump into. We've been talking some baseball, so let's get into that first. This World Series, did you expect either of these teams to be here? Kind of like for me, it was like the Yankees and Dodgers. They're the teams that, people expect to be in the World Series. But the Toronto Blue Jays, I didn't know if we could see this.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers, most people expected to see them here, but like the Blue Jays, I was a year ahead on Toronto. I was actually on them on a future play to make it to the World Series last season. And then I backed off this year, even though I kind of had a feeling they have a strong team and it should be a great World Series. I'm looking forward to it.
It definitely should. So let's get into the World Series here. I know you're looking at the series as a whole instead of game 1 tonight. We are seeing the Dodgers, the odds-on favorite to take the World Series. They're coming in at minus 230 to take at plus 190 straight up if you think the Toronto Blue Jays are going to get it. And then you can look at the run line. The Dodgers to take it, laying the 1.5 at minus 116. And then the Toronto Blue Jays plus 1.5 at minus 102. Firstly, before we get into why, where would you be looking for your World Series bets?
Yeah, I'm on the Dodgers laying the 1.5 games here to finish this up before Game 7. And the books seem to agree that the Dodgers are heavily favored, and then under 6.5 games for the series is minus 270. I really tried to find a way to play Toronto here at the plus money. And I do lean their way, actually, in Game 1, just because I feel like the Dodgers might be rusty after not playing for an entire week. So I actually think a small sprinkle could be played on, Toronto wins game one, Dodgers win the series, and that's plus 300. So you get 3-1 on that one. I think Toronto has the slightly better bullpen, but I just think this Dodgers pitching in the end wins out. The big four with Snell, Yamamoto, those two guys have been untouchable, and then Glasnow and Ohtani have held their own as well. So I just think that starting pitching wins out, and the Dodgers get this done before Game 7.
Yeah, the Dodgers, you look at their talent up and down this roster, and it's phenomenal. Now, they do have to worry about Vladimir Guerrero. We are seeing Bo Bichette coming back into that lineup there for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. What are your thoughts on Bo? Because I'm hearing a lot of criticism on him, thinking he's one of the weaker links of Toronto. I've never really felt that way. Have you?
No, I've actually always liked Bo Bichette, and I think he finished second in batting average behind Judge this year in the American League. I just wonder how effective he'll be after being on the shelf for so long. That's the only question I would have for him here. But no, I think it's a no-brainer to have him on the roster though, because he adds another bat to that lineup. I actually like him as part of this Blue Jays team for this series.
Yeah, I absolutely do as well. Can understand the criticism that he's been getting out there, but I do understand that kind of rest time being off on the bench and then coming back in. And it's kind of like the Dodgers and what you said here, where the Dodgers should be maybe a little rusty in game one. Toronto has their best chance of getting a win straight out of the gate. What are your thoughts on this young rookie, Yasavage? He came out so phenomenally strong versus the Yankees, and then he was able to get 11 strikeouts in that game, and then giving up a little bit more versus the Seattle Mariners in those starts. What are your overall thoughts on such a young kid leading it straight out of the gate here, Steve?
Yeah, it's a tough spot, obviously, in the World Series, but he relies on that splitter, as we've seen both of these teams actually have a ton of pitchers like Gausman as well for the Toronto that throws a ton of splitters, but unfortunately, both of these teams actually hit that pitch very well. I think Toronto ranks number 1 and Dodgers number 5 against that pitch. So I think we see some runs here. I think there's spots for runs. I think both bullpens are highly questionable here. But like I said, I think Yasavage can take advantage of these Dodger bats being a little cold, at least the first couple of times through the order. Week off, that's a long time, and that we've seen that be a disadvantage to teams in the past in the postseason.
Yeah, we absolutely have. Okay, we got to talk about Ohtani while we're talking about players here. He looked so phenomenal in his last game out. Is Ohtani the difference maker here for the Dodgers?
Yeah, he could be. He's obviously being able to pitch and hit the way he did, that performance obviously was the most historic performance probably in MLB postseason history. As far as him being able to pitch so effectively, and then now that bat's heating up, we saw him struggle for parts of the postseason so far. So this could be scary if he's in the zone again. Does that week off? Does he have to reset and get back into the swing of things again after that long layoff?
Yeah, we're going to see what his bat's able to do, because we know that arm was on fire as well. Looking at the other side here, Vladimir Guerrero, can he be the hero here for Toronto? We know what he was able to do in those last couple of series. He's come on fire, and he wasn't someone, and I have to say it, as a Jays fan, I was disappointed when they signed him to that long contract. I didn't think he was going to be a difference maker like this. I looked at him and I thought he was kind of lazy out there. He has changed ever since he got that contract signed. He's playing with everything. You're seeing his heart out there, and he definitely is the face of the franchise. What are your thoughts on Vladdy?
Yeah, 100%. And he's highly motivated now. We've seen him in the past, like you said, maybe not playing at quite an inspired, not playing very inspired, but right now in the postseason, you see he's really looking at it. Sometimes you don't get another chance to get back here to a World Series spot like this. And I think Vladdy could be huge in this series, obviously, just like Ohtani.
Okay, so MVP though, you've got to sprinkle somewhere other than Ohtani, somewhere other than Vladdy. Where are you going to go for the MVP?
Yeah, it's just a sprinkle for fun here. I'm looking at Teoscar Hernandez. He's plus 1,800. He's playing against his former team. He played the majority of his career in Toronto. And I think he's going to be highly motivated, obviously, in this series, as most all the players will be. But we've seen him just get hot at points in the postseason. We saw him win that home run. I cashed the home run derby ticket with him a couple seasons back. He's hit 4 home runs now already in the postseason. And I see him being in a spot here with batting behind Freeman and some of those other Dodger bats where he could come up with a couple of clutch spots here, hits a couple of home runs. And fun fact, actually, too, Hernandez has a special spot for me because he actually cashed my first ever official ticket over at Wager Talk, where I had a Toronto team total, and he hit a home run for me in the bottom of the 9th to cash that ticket. So I'll always just remember him for that. And I cashed the home run derby with him as well. So a little bit of fun money here on Hernandez at plus 1,800.
You always remember your first, right? Like, I absolutely love that, Steve. That is a great story. And do you remember at that home run derby, we did see Vladdy there rocking a Dodgers jersey in support of Hernandez? That's when I was kind of like, I was like out on him. I was like, what's he doing? Does he want to be a Dodgers? But he was supporting Hernandez in that one.
Yeah, and then we saw him come in the last game with the Maple Leafs jersey on, and people were joking, saying that was going to be the kiss of death for the Blue Jays, but it didn't end up playing out that way. He had the Austin Matthews jersey on coming into the last game. But I think he's happy being a Blue Jay right now, and he seems highly motivated, so he's a dangerous bat. He always has been. He's been a thorn in the Red Sox side at points, so... I think he's going to have a big series as well.
Yeah, I'm looking for a big series out of him. So you guys, World Series bets here for Steve. LA laying the 1.5 in the series at minus 115, and Hernandez for MVP for a sprinkle at plus 1,800. Again, that story so phenomenal with your first bet that cashed on Wager Talk. So love to hear that, but we got a lot to go over with you. The NBA in full swing. Chaos in the NBA, but you're coming at us with some player props today.
Yeah, NBA player props has been my bread and butter over at Sports Memo. Last season, we finished number 1 during the regular season. We actually pulled in 73 units of profit. And tonight, I'm looking at Şengün to go over 15.5 rebounds plus assists. We saw him have 18 in his first game, 13 potentials. 19 rebound chances. That's 32 rebound plus assist chances. So that's a ton of volume. He basically just has to convert on half of those to cash this line. He's went over now in 8 of his last 10 games. We saw Vucevic record 16 against Detroit in his first game. I cashed a rebound over ticket on him there. And a big part of this is Duren isn't going to pull Şengün out of the paint. He's not a guy that goes out to three-point land, so he can just plant himself in the paint, grab those rebounds. I think he's more involved in the assist game now that Van Vliet is on the shelf for the season. Obviously, they're trying to work out that point guard situation with Thompson and Reed Shepherd. So we saw him be more instrumental. He obviously scored a ton of points in that game, that thriller against OKC. But he was also involved as a facilitator. And with this being his home opener tonight, I see full minutes for him tonight. And over 15.5 rebounds plus assist is my play on him.
That is definitely a nice play over the 15.5. He should come out nice and strong. Who else are you going to be looking at?
I'm also looking at Desmond Bane tonight. Now, we got in on this one last night at over 17.5. Since then, it's moved up to over 19.5. But I still like it there, and that's Desmond Bane's points for tonight. And the nice part is the over 19.5, you can get it at plus 100. You could probably find an 18.5 with a little bit of juice. We saw him score 23 in his first game with Orlando against Miami, plays 33 minutes in that game. And he led the Magic in field goal attempts and three-point attempts. Obviously, he's going to be part of that big three with Wagner and Banchero. Atlanta, he's struggled against guards in their first game. They're not a good they've never really been a good defense, and they might be a little bit better this year now that they've added Walker Alexander and Porzingis. But they allowed 20 plus points to 3 Raptor guards in their first game. Barrett, Barnes, and Dick all go over 20-plus points. And Bane has had great success against the Hawks when he played with the Grizzlies, clearing this line in 4 of his last 4 games. And he's put up 35-plus points in 2 of his last 3. So I'd expect him to keep firing away tonight and score 20-plus against the Hawks to cash this ticket.
Yeah, nice price there. 19.5 points to the over, coming in at plus 100. Love that you're throwing light juice at us with these player props. I know there's some player props that are just so highly juiced, it becomes out of the range, but great picks there. Let's look at Sunday. We've got a couple of really interesting games on Sunday. We're going to talk with you about the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos. Now, it's going to be interesting if the Denver Broncos can slow down Dak Prescott in this offense, because another team I was kind of out on was the Dallas Cowboys coming into this season. While I don't trust their defense, that offense is straight fire, Steve.
Yeah, I don't trust the defense either. And I was in on a future play for Dak Prescott to go over his passing yards, which is looking very good right now. I like this Dallas team total over 22.5. A little bit of juice on this one at minus 130. But what I like here is we get it under that key number of 23. I don't mind it, though, at over 23.5 to get to 24 either. We've seen them clear this number in 5 of 7 games so far this season. They're second in points per game behind the Colts with 31.7 points per game. This Denver defense, I expected a lot more out of them. They haven't been quite impressive to me, though, when you really look at it. They have shut down some teams, but they've been horrible teams. The Jets, the Titans, the Bengals. That just doesn't impress me when they shut down these teams. And then last week, I was watching this game closely because I don't place many teasers, but I had a rare teaser on the Broncos that ended up being a push because I got it at -1, unfortunately. But we saw this Broncos defense allow 33 points, 387 yards to a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart, who's actually impressed me a little bit now over the past month or so. But we've seen the Broncos miss tackles, blown assignments last week. And I think this Cowboys offense, just to get to 23, when they're averaging close to 32 points per game, I like this one. And I think Denver may be a little bit sluggish after expelling all of that energy to win that game with no points in the first 3 quarters. They score 33, and everything went wrong or right for me. It depends how you look at it. If they hit the extra point, then I get the chance at the overtime and maybe win the bet, but then I also could have lost the bet. All sorts of things going on with that one. It was a wild finish, and I was watching it pretty closely considering I just needed the Broncos to win by 1+. So.
Yeah, if you had a survivor pick on the Denver Broncos last weekend, those emotions would have been just insane. I still can't believe what we saw, that comeback, the breakdown of that fourth quarter there for the New York Giants, the comeback of the Denver Broncos. And it's going to be a hard one here. Hard assignment. I love how you pointed out that Denver's defense just isn't what we expected this season, because it really isn't. On paper, this defense should be able to shut down a strong offense, but they're just not getting it done, Steve. So love where you're going there. I love the Cowboys over, and I love that you're not just taking this full game to the over and breaking down the Cowboys team total, because what are we going to get out of Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton is my biggest question mark each and every single week, because they should have those connections there. Cortland Sutton, amazing wide receiver. Bo Nix has the arm. We're just not seeing it, though, are we?
No, not really. And I'm a big fan of kind of honing in on, I do play some full game totals, but I'm a big player props guy, but I'm also a big team total guy. I like to isolate that one matchup. And if you like sometimes when you look at a game and you see like, I like the over for this full game, and that has automatically, or it could be an under as well. I cashed some unders early in the year on the Texans, some of the Texans opponents, I should say. I'm sorry. But I just like to hone in on that one team, that one weakness where you can take that team total over or under for that matter and take advantage of the matchup.
I love where you're going with those. Always a fun bet to look at the one team and count on them when you trust in them more. And lots of trust here in Dak against his defense. So when people go over to picksandparlays.net, what can they expect when they're looking at your packages? Are you covering all sports, Steve?
Yeah, so I cover NFL, NBA, NHL, I do player props in the NHL as well. College football, I keep it really light volume. And I do one play a week. I know it's a huge slate and a lot of people do a lot of high volume, but I've just found success with that when I'm covering all these other sports. I was covering obviously MLB still going, but WNBA I was involved with as well. So when you're covering all these sports as a one-man operation, you can get run a little thin. So with college, I just hone in on one play a week. And I've kept it low volume as well in the NHL, 3-1 so far this season. I laid off for the first couple of nights just to see how things were going. And I'm in action today, $7 customer appreciation day, and I have my first 5% NBA max bet of the season.
Wow. Yeah, that $7 Friday, you guys head on over. Steve does have that. You can grab that best bet for just $7 from Steve. We got the weekend warrior package up and running, and those long-term packages, Steve. What a great deal here. Looking at the rest of 2025 for just $8.30 a day for your picks there. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, how much does your coffee cost a morning? Because mine costs more than $8.30 when I go to Starbucks.
Well, I go to Dunkin' around here, so it's a little bit cheaper than Starbucks, and then sometimes I'll make it at home. But you are right; you're not getting out of Starbucks for for less than $8 generally.
You definitely aren't. And if I take my daughter, I might as well mortgage my house. It feels like when I get that Starbucks coffee. But Steve, I appreciate your time here today, coming with all the great picks. If you're looking for Steve's best bets, do head on over to picksandparlays.net. But Steve, absolutely dominate the books. Best of luck in your World Series. Full predictions. I hope to have you on again. This was fun.
Yeah, I'd love to jump on anytime. Just let me know. I had a great time.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. You guys, if you're looking for Steve's best bets, again, head on over to picksandparlays.net. He's got so much going on over there. You want to make sure that you do get in on his long-term packages. Like he said, he's not putting out a ton of volume in college football. So that long-term package of $8.30 a day would be your better look than looking at the weekend warrior. Now, he's going to be heavy in the NFL, though. So if you're looking still for the NFL bets and you just want to try for the weekend, head on over. He will have that one college pick out as well as I'm sure a handful of picks in the NFL. And then you'll get Monday's picks for free. So head on over for that. The long-term package, though, and that $7 pick today he has up. You can grab his best bet for just $7. That's definitely a great way to get introduced to Steve's betting style out there. And then that rest of 2025, $8.30. I wish I didn't love Starbucks coffee. That is for sure, because it costs me more. But you guys, we've heard from the guys. We heard from Anton coming in here. Anton came in with looking at a couple of the totals. The AI model still, jury is out on that. They're going to have those finalized picks shortly. We then heard Dan Kaiser. He popped in with some MLB. His hate for his Michigan State coaching staff. He had his rant, you guys. He is taking Michigan State at the end of the day, plus the points. We did go there with him. And then he went with the World Series game one here. He's looking at the under 7.5. Now, Steve came in with the World Series bet for the whole thing. The Dodgers laying the 1.5. And then Hernandez MVP for that great sprinkle. His NBA props, Desmond Bain over 19.5 points at plus 100 for the Orlando Magic tonight. Of the Houston Rockets, second to come out and get over 15.5 rebounds and assists at minus 105 in his first start here. And then the Dallas Cowboys team total over 22.5 points. So you've heard from the guys, but now it's my turn. You guys know you can't get away from watching All-Jo Madden without hearing what I'm liking tonight in the World Series. This is huge out here for the Toronto Blue Jays to be here. I'm so excited that I get to experience this. We're looking at Yusavish coming out here for the Toronto Blue Jays versus Blake Snell. Now, Blake Snell has been phenomenal in the postseason. I can't believe how strong he has come back from surgery. You look at what he's been able to do, and he has been lights out there. He has allowed under 4.5 hits in each of his playoff starts. so far, and you look at his strikeout ability, he has racked up 19 more strikeouts in 14 innings, just allowing 2 hits in the postseason. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays don't strike out a lot, and this is a kind of worry here if you're looking at Blake Snell's strikeouts, but I do think his ability to strike out the Toronto Blue Jays is there. He struck them out 10 times in 5 innings already this season. So in the regular season, Blake Snell had his way with the Jays. I do think you have the possibility of hitting Blake Snell not only for his regular strikeout numbers, but for his ult strikeout numbers today. And looking at Yusavage, I think Yusavage, we saw him versus the Yankees. 11 strikeouts on the board. His number's only 5.5 today. You guys, I have played around with firing up as well. I think this kid has so much confidence. The mojo that he brings out there on the mound is phenomenal. And I think in this one, even though the Dodgers have solid bats, we're going to see Yusavage come out straight out of the gate and be able to make some magic happen. I think both of these pitchers stay in long. I'm expecting a run, though, in the first inning. The Yurfee coming out in the first inning, and then things to quiet. I would be terrified to take an under in this game, even though I could see it playing out that way. The public looks like they're all over the over. But I tell you, this game, I think, will start off with a bang and then slow down as we have strong pitching here for both of these guys. I think a little bit of nerves for one of the pitchers, and I'm not sure who it's going to be. Either Yusavage or Blake Snell. I'm expecting them to allow that run in the first. We know during the regular season, it was always the Dodgers, the yes runs first inning or the over 1.5, because the top of the lineup, the bats are phenomenal. But the Jays are going to bring it. They're going to look to get to Blake Snell straight out of the gate. So I will take the yes runs first inning at plus 118. But then looking at those strikeout props, Blake Snell over 6.5 strikeouts plus 102. The last time he faced the Toronto Blue Jays, 10 strikeouts in 5 innings only. Ulting, firing his numbers up, I think is worth a shot. A third of a unit on each, you guys. A third of a unit over 6.5 strikeouts. A third of a unit 8+ strikeouts at plus 194, and a third of a unit on 9+ strikeouts at plus 370. When we look at Yusavage, yes, 11 strikeouts versus the Yankees, and then things did slow down versus the Seattle Mariners. He didn't have the quality of strikeouts that we saw versus the Yankees, but I think in this one, with the Dodgers coming in a little rusty, we could see those strikeouts. So Yusavage over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 102. And then the 7+ strikeouts at almost 2-1. So at plus 198. I won't fire him up any higher. If he comes out and gets 11 like he did versus the Yankees, then I will tip my hat to him. The one thing you have to worry about the Jays is they just don't strike out a lot, only averaging 6.72 strikeouts per full game. But I do think in this one, we're going to see those strikeouts coming for both of these pitchers. Now, we talked about Bo Bichette. Not a lot of love for him coming back into this lineup. I do think he's going to be solid. I think there's a couple of bats that you want to watch in this pitching matchup. For the Dodgers, you've got to look at the lefties. I think Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, those are your playmakers out there that will be strong versus Yusavage, his fastball, and his splitters. You got to look at the lefties. When we look here at who's going to be able to be strong versus Blake Snell, you got to look at Vladdy. Again, I was never a huge believer in Vladdy. He's made me a believer in this postseason. I love what he's doing for Toronto out there. And then you got to look at George Springer. George Springer and Vladdy do have the best matchup here versus Snell. So if you're looking for those home run props, I would recommend taking one of those guys, those RBIs as well. Now, like I said, I would be nervous to take an under, but I'd be nervous to take the over. I just like one of these teams to hit one of these pitchers straight out of the gate. I don't think they hit them enough where one of these pitchers get yanked. I think things settle down and we see these pitchers stay deep into this game. I love how they're starting Yusavage here for the Toronto Blue Jays. It just means that he will be available for Game 5 in LA. And I do think this kid has all the confidence in the world, and I'm not worried that he's made more postseason starts than regular season starts. I think he is just a complete ace out there on the mound, and I have so much faith in him. You look at Ohtani, you look at Ohtani's abilities pitching and with his bat. he's going to be phenomenal over this series. I will take the Toronto Blue Jays to get the win today. I love the plus money on the Toronto Blue Jays. I think it's a great spot to roll with them. They've had less time off, and I know that means the Dodgers have had more time to prepare, but I don't trust colder bats here. And I do think Toronto's best opportunity is to jump on the Dodgers straight out of the gate, because we know this Dodgers team has phenomenal bats. They have phenomenal pitching, and the Jays are the underdog for a reason. They need to bring it here in game one. So at plus 130, I'll take a shot on them. Those official best bets, so, are the Yorfie at plus 118, Blake Snell over 6.5 strikeouts, Alting firing it up all the way to 9+ strikeouts. I got the 8+ at plus 194, the 9+ at plus 370, and then Savage over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 102. Alting firing it up to 7+ at plus 198. Now, you guys, when I do those fired up lines, Blake Snell to third on each, and then Savage, it's half a unit on each. So I'm not putting 3 units on Blake Snell. I'll put a third of a unit. So a total of 1 unit on each of those bets. Total 1 unit on each of the bets there for Savage, and then 1 unit on the Yorfie. And then I'm going to put a full unit, and I don't know why I didn't put it in the graphics, for Toronto to get the win today at plus 130. It should be a great day out here. You guys, I appreciate you being here so very much. I want to see this show running 5 days a week. If you guys want to see it running 5 days a week as well, do me that solid. Hit that like button, comment below this show what you're liking, and share it with a friend. Get the word out here that All-Jo Madden on Picks and Parlays is a place you want to be for those morning bets to get on those lines before we see any adjustment. Cody jumping in here with a lot of things. Columbia versus Dartmouth coming in at the under 45.5. Cody, I wish you all the best in all of your bets today. Appreciate all of your comments that are popping into the live chat. You guys will be back Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You know Sean Higgs is always rolling in. I loved having Steve in today. That was Steve's very first appearance here. I want to see more of Steve, so if you guys want to see more of Steve too, make sure you give him a shout out in the comments. But you guys, Jermaine, it's good to see you. We're just wrapping up. We're going to go over those best bets for everyone that's just jumping in, like Jermaine is, and then I'm going to send you on your way. We got 3 minutes left here. So don't forget, the rest of 2025 is just $8.30 a day from your handicapper of choice over on Picks and Parlays. And today is grab a $7 best bet from all participating handicappers. Steve had one of those, so you don't want to miss out on that. Steve in the World Series going with the Dodgers, laying the 1.5, finishing it under 6. And Hernandez for MVP for a sprinkle. He's also coming in with those NBA player props. Desmond Bain over 19.5 points for the Orlando Magic, and Sagan coming out over 15.5 rebounds and assists. And then the Dallas Cowboys team total over 22.5 versus the Denver Broncos. Dan coming in with his best bet being the under between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays today in game 1 of the World Series. He's also rolling with Michigan State plus the 14.5. So he's going to go there versus Michigan. His heart is hoping Michigan spanks them, though, so that his coaches can be fired. So you got to love that when your heart and money are separate. We're also looking at myself, my best bets coming in at Toronto. I'm taking Toronto straight up on the money line, you guys. The Yorfie at plus 118. Firing up those strikeout props for both of those pitchers. Even though I think we're going to get that run in the first, I think both of these pitchers settle down after the nerves. So you guys, yeah, work. You gotta. It's always work. Everyone's got to work, Jermaine. I am so glad that you were able to join us for the end of the show. Going over those bets, Anton did look at a couple of unders out there. The Houston game to the under this weekend versus the 49ers. Model's still working on all of that in the AI side of things. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Appreciate each and every single one of you for being here with us on the daily. Until Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, stay hot. Let's make some freaking money. Bye, guys.